Becoming a cycle breaker isn't about watching motivational videos, meditating, or reading self-help books.
It's about ripping apart our entire foundation of who you are and breaking your cycle and transforming your life so you can break through to everything you want.
I want people to know if you feel stuck, lost, or broken, you're not.
Little did I know that it was everything I didn't know that I needed.
There was a voice in the back of my head telling me that I was meant for bigger and better things.
Tiffany Toombs is amazing. I love her.
She worked with me to remove a lot of the beliefs that I was having in regards to finishing projects, procrastination. I needed help with that. And I've got to tell you, I've invested in all kinds of other mentorships. But the reality is, I wasn't ready to become the person I needed to be to utilize those tools because of the beliefs that I had about myself. And Tiffany helped me realize what those beliefs were and then to work through them.
Clear out childhood traumas and recode limiting beliefs. And I even improved my relationships with my family and friends.
The tools that Tiffany teaches you are just unbelievably incredible.
Literally helped me break through so many limiting beliefs.
And it can benefit your relationship, your life, your business, your job, your parenting abilities.
It really resulted in a lot of clarity and a lot of wow moments, which obviously relate to a better life, healthier, wealthier, just overall happier.
Basically rewired my brain to think differently.
After our first session, I went from not doing things to basically building an entire course that I have been thinking about doing for years in a 4-week period. I built everything. We have customers in it already, and I've got to say, I don't think I would have done that without Tiffany.
I like that she presents the science behind the information and techniques that she's teaching. So, you know that it's not just made up woo-woo. She gives you the science behind it.
You will heal your past.
Made me realize that nobody else's opinion really matters other than my own, and you know what I want to do about me. As long as I love me, then I should be comfortable being me.
After working and training with Tiffany for just a few short months, I noticed big changes.
I was hooked. That was it. That's all it took. It was life-changing.
She is super smart, very intelligent. She knows her craft. She knows her business. She's very vulnerable and open. I could connect with her. I could relate with her. She is non-judgmental.
So if you have the chance to work with Tiffany, saying no would be extraordinarily foolish.
I highly recommend her services to anybody that had a rough childhood and, is kind of under the influence or being held back by their past.
Next level, worth every penny. If you are on the fence, stop being on the fence and just say yes.
No matter what breaking the cycle is for you, there is a better way.
And it leads to breaking through the old patterns and starting to create the dream life that you can't wait to wake up to.
All right, welcome everybody. We are here for a brand new masterclass, Why Willpower Fails Under Stress and What Actually Works. I'm super excited to take you through today's session. So let's get into it. So this workshop, in case you're wondering if you're in the right spot, is for those of you who are ready to find a level of success that doesn't demand burnout. My goal for you today is to understand how stress shrinks your available capability and your capacity. And we're going to look at the 3 most common regulation patterns that kill consistency and show how to make your life unrecognizable by Christmas. So give me a 1 if you are ready to go for this. All right, beautiful. Well, let's do it. So first, who the heck is Tiffany Toombs Clevenger? This is what I look like when my face is not all bruised up, hence why my camera is off today. So I am a mother and a wife, an avid hiker here in the Smoky Mountains. I'm an international speaker, coach, podcast host, and author. I love to garden, and sometimes I do crazy things like doing yoga on the back of a horse. So I'm also a recovering, high-performing, overachieving, people-pleasing perfectionist. Give me a 2 if you resonate with any of those, and a 3 if you feel like the high-performing, overachieving, people-pleasing perfectionist fits you to a T. If you feel like that is a accurate description for you. All right. Well, you have come to the right place then, because all of that led me to a lot of coping strategies, especially in my 20s. And yes, that is vodka straight from the bottle. That was one of my major coping mechanisms, was alcohol for a very long time. So I was an expert at burning myself out. In fact, it was the one thing that I absolutely knew that I could do beyond a shadow of a doubt, was burn myself out. And avoiding the things, I was in a pattern then when I would avoid the things that would truly allow me the freedom and the next level success that I craved. So I was the queen of self-sabotage at that point in time. What I wanted was to start living up to my potential and stop living out the patterns that were actually starting to make me sick. So it was getting to the point where I was developing chronic fatigue-like symptoms. My gut health was a mess. I couldn't eat anything without intense inflammation, and I knew I needed to make a change. So when I discovered what I'm going to show you today, burnout became a thing of the past. And success and achievement became something that was sustainable for me. I worked less hours, and yet I made more money. I aligned more deeply, and this is probably the most important one. I started aligning more deeply with my God-given purpose. And so everything that I started doing had more intention to it. So give me a 1 in the chat if you've been told, or maybe you've told yourself, that you need more willpower. How many of you have heard this one? All right. And my question for you is, and then how many of you have, give me a 2, have done what you felt you needed to do to get more willpower? Maybe you've self-shamed, or, yeah. So my question to you is, how's that going for you? How many of you, give me a 1 if you've actually willpowered yourself to the life that you truly desire? You're making the exact money you want. And I'm not saying you have to look at your life now and be like, oh, this, I don't like my life. But how many of you know that you're not fully where you can be, or willpower is just not working for you? So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If willpower was the problem, you would have already solved it by now. In fact, there wouldn't, the personal development self-help industry wouldn't be a multi-billion, that's with a B. I know I have a fat lip, but I want to make sure you get it. It's multi-billion with a B. It wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar industry if willpower worked, because you could watch one of the thousands of YouTube videos out there about how to have more willpower. You could do any number of courses or read any number of books, and you would be able to hit your goal. But you're not there yet, right? And so willpower isn't the problem. And a lot of this has been my biggest frustration with the personal development self-help coaching industry, is that they teach very beginner level things, and you can absolutely get some shifts from them, but they're not going to transform your life sustainably, because willpower and self-discipline are not the issue. right? They look at band-aid strategies that make you feel better in the moment, but then when the problem comes back, because you've had some success and you've had some shifts, you're like, well, I must need a new strategy. I must need something new now because I must be the problem. So most people don't fail because they lack willpower. They fail because stress shuts down the part of the brain that uses willpower. So this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, so I want you to touch your forehead for me. Your prefrontal cortex is behind that bone of your forehead. And your prefrontal cortex needs to be online in order for you to access willpower. When you're stressed out, the prefrontal cortex goes offline. This is also why your decision making isn't as good, creativity is harder, good communication is a challenge. And it's because the part of your brain that does all of those things, all of those executive functions, has gone offline. It's like trying to connect to the internet when you don't have a signal, right? Or trying to make a phone call when your phone is on SOS. It's not going to work. But you wouldn't sit here and beat yourself up and say, oh, I'm such an idiot because I can't make this phone call right now when your phone is on SOS, right? Give me a 1 in the chat if anybody's done that. I don't think anybody has done that. Beat themselves up when their phone doesn't have service, right? I'm talking specifically here. You beat yourself up when your phone doesn't have service, and then you're like, I must be the problem. No, it's the technology's not working, right? And we have inner technology. We might not look at it that way, but our brain is one of the most advanced pieces of technology. And if we don't have access, if it's offline, if we don't have a signal from our prefrontal cortex, we cannot expect to have willpower in that moment. And when we are stressed out, we have less access to the area of the brain. The more chronically stressed we are, the longer we spend in stress mode, our sympathetic nervous system mode, survival mode, the less access we have to that, right? It's the connections in the brain start to break down, and now we can't even access it at all. So stress doesn't just feel bad, it reduces your usable capacity because you are spending so much energy and focus on protecting yourself, because when you're stressed, your sympathetic nervous system gets activated. That's your survival mode system. Your body goes into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And your system is spending more energy being hyper vigilant, scanning your environment for what could possibly hurt you or harm you or kill you than it is on getting to your goals. If a bear was chasing you right now, and I can tell you on numerous hikes we have been on in the Smoky Mountains, we've encountered bears. Luckily, none of them have chased us, but we have seen them. And we have come around corners and they're right there, right? Where they're only like 20, 30 feet away. And I can tell you in that moment, the last thing I care about is scaling my business, is making more money, is, being more disciplined. The only thing I care about in that moment is keeping myself and my son, who's strapped to my back, safe and making sure that I can outrun my husband. Just kidding. Making sure, I can't make myself laugh right now, it hurts. Making sure that, we're all okay. We get out of there okay. So under stress, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, so if you touch the very center of your forehead, that's the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, it goes offline. Your ventromedial prefrontal cortex, if you were not at last week's workshop, its job is motivation. So if it goes offline, your motivation also goes offline. This is where your willpower is coming from. Your decision making starts to degrade because in that moment, when your body believes a bear is chasing you, all that it cares about is survival. It doesn't care about what's going to be the best long-term decision for you. In your business, this looks like, how can I make a sale right now? How can I get what I need right now? It doesn't matter that this potential client is giving every possible red flag. It doesn't matter that this potential client clearly is not going to respect my boundaries. I don't really enjoy talking to them. I know that this is going to create even more stress. In the moment, you don't care about that because all you care about is making that sale because you're in survival mode. So the decisions that you make start to degrade. Even the coaches that you look at or the courses that you buy or don't buy, all of those things are going to be impacted by what's going to give me the fastest win. And my personal opinion, obviously there are some coaches out there who aren't teaching great strategies, but I also know there's some amazing coaches. Sid and I have been in multiple masterminds and programs where there's very few people in the program getting results. And that's because most of them are in a state of stress. And that's why, and so most of them are making decisions on how to apply the strategy that they're being given or how to apply what they're being taught to their business. They're not seeing it in the same way as somebody who's not in survival. And then the focus narrows. Again, in that moment, all you care about is getting away from that bear and surviving. So your focus narrows to how do I survive instead of how do I thrive? How do I have long-term success with this? How do I set myself up for success? And I can tell you for a long time when I first started my business, 2020 and 2019 to 2021 were very stressful years in our business. Shockingly, our business was making a lot of money back then. We were doing like $250,000 a year back then. But there was external stresses in life that were causing me to make bad decisions in business that kept me stuck in the burnout and in the hustle and grind. Right? And so if you're making decisions in life from survival mode, the decisions you make are going to keep you in survival mode. Same with your business, same with your finances, same within your marriage, right? It's all those decisions are going to keep you in survival mode. So you need the tools to be able to get yourself out of survival mode when it comes time to make a decision so that you can make better decisions. So this is why your consistency drops off. Because you don't care about choosing habits that you can do for the next however long, right? Consistently. You just care about right now. I'm in a 75 hard Facebook group, and I haven't done 75 hard since like 2019, but somebody posted in there the other day, I'm like, it was like 36 or 32 weeks pregnant, and I think I'm going to start 75 hard. And I was like, what? Like, why at that stage of your pregnancy? Why would you even think that would be a good idea? I mean, you could, at that stage of pregnancy, you could go into labor at any time. And after you have the baby, you have to rest for 6 weeks. You literally have like a dinner-sized wound in your uterus, and you think you're going to do 2 workouts a day? One outside during that recovery time, right? So we make decisions based on, here's what I feel like I need to do and survive right now. And I don't know this person, so I don't know their situation, but I do know that's not a good decision. And that's a decision that sets you up to fail, right? And then we wonder, oh, well, I just can't be consistent. Well, maybe it's not that you can't be consistent. Maybe it's the way that you're going about making those decisions or adding those habits to your life. Brain fog increases. And this is a physiological response. It's not necessarily that you're too tired or too stressed to think clearly. That ventromedial prefrontal cortex, when I had you touch the center of your forehead, one of its jobs is to link effort to outcome. And so if every time you take an effort, you take action towards something, you end up burnt out, you might still hit the goal, right? Maybe you like hustle your way through like I used to do, and you still make $250,000 that year. Your ventromedial prefrontal cortex doesn't say, if I take this effort, I'm going to make 250K. Your ventromedial prefrontal cortex says, if I take this effort, I'm going to end up burnt out and not able to get out of bed. I'm going to end up sick. I'm going to end up with all of these health issues. And so your ventromedial prefrontal cortex turns up the brain fog in an attempt to keep you safe. It is a survival response. And starting feels harder even when the goals matter. Even when you're like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent this month, so I really need to make a sale. Even just taking action to get started towards making that sale is going to feel significantly harder because of all those things we talked about in the last slide, specifically the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. You should try saying it 5 times fast with a fat lip. That's even harder to say. So your motivation doesn't disappear. Your ability to access it does. And this is important because I know a lot of you are just like I was. And so you'll sit here and beat yourself up. Why can't I? Give me a 1 in the chat if you've ever said any of these things to yourself. Why can't I be as motivated as I was 5 years ago? I used to be so driven. Where did it go? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? I must be broken. Right? And it's not that you don't have the motivation or the drive anymore. It's that your nervous system is no longer allowing you access to it because it believes that if it does, you'll die. That's what it believes. So let's look at the 3 most common nervous system responses that lead to a lack of consistency. The first response is overdrive. This is a fight mode response. So these are the people who say things like, going to war. I'm going to battle. Right? Everything is a war. Everything is a battle. Everything is a fight. Everything is a struggle. If you're looking at your business in that way, you are keeping yourself in dysregulation. If you see sales calls as like a battle that you have to win, you are going to destroy your own drive and motivation. So this is where you're pushing harder. I just have to hustle harder. I just have to fight. All right, I'm going to dominate. You need to be in control. Your way or the highway has to be done exactly how you want it done, exactly the way that you would do it, which is probably why you don't delegate. And then you need to push even harder to get everything on your impossible to-do list done. Urgency is intense. There's always looming deadlines, always something hanging over your head. And you probably can't take action until the deadline is looming. Short-term output leads to long-term burnout cycles. So overdrive works until it teaches your nervous system that success hurts, that it hurts you, that it might kill you. Second response is shutdown. This is a freeze response. And this is where you get the brain fog, the avoidance, maybe some procrastination. You know what to do. You just can't seem to get yourself to do it. You struggle to get out of bed in the morning. You're like, oh, I know what's waiting for me on my to-do list. I know what's waiting for me on my calendar. I can't do it. I don't want to. You go numb. I don't have any goals anymore. I just don't care. Whatever. There's no point in setting goals because I'm just going to disappoint myself anyways, so I just won't set goals. I'm so tired all the time. Shutdown isn't laziness. It's your nervous system pulling the emergency brake because the pressure's too high. You're attempting to put too much energy through the electrical circuit that is your nervous system, and it's not safe enough. Your nervous system is like 70s wiring, right, in the home. It's not up to current code, so it won't let you send that much energy through without tripping the breaker. So then there's the start-stop loop. So this is a freeze and flight response. So you're going back and forth between freeze and flight. So you'll get bursts of motivation, and then you'll go into that collapse shutdown. And then you will feel a ton of guilt for shutting down, collapsing, not being able to keep going. And then you'll restart again, right? You'll beat yourself up so much that you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to get over it and do what I have to do to get past this. And then you'll restart. But then you have less motivation the next time around and less motivation the next time around until eventually you don't have any motivation left. So stopping isn't a you flaw. It's a sign that your system is lacking recovery. And none of these responses, by the way, mean that your system is broken. Your system is working exactly how it was designed to work. So this isn't about fixing your nervous system. It's about recalibrating it to learn new ways of being successful. Success is kryptonite, because if you learn how to have success by hustling, then your system learns that in order to have success, you need to hustle. And so that will be where you default back to. What we're doing here is not fixing you. What we're doing here is we are retraining your nervous system that there is another way to have success. That starting doesn't have to mean burnout. It doesn't have to mean collapse. It doesn't have to mean a ton of shame is coming. Because that's ultimately why you're avoiding what you're avoiding, is because you're worried about the shame that will come when you collapse. So trying harder will always backfire under stress, because you are just training your system with the same thing. If you remember Pavlov's dogs, right? He rang the bell and then fed them. And then the next day he'd ring the bell again and he'd feed them. And next day he'd ring the bell and then feed them, and ring the bell and then feed them. And after a certain number of days, when he rang the bell, they would start salivating, expecting food. Even if there was no food there, right? Their bodies would start responding. And so in the same way that Pavlov trained those dogs, you have trained your nervous system that starting equals hustle equals burnout. And so trying harder is just more of that same conditioning for your system. Willpower requires glucose. It requires sugar to the brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex. And when you are in stress mode, all your available glucose, and that includes the glucose that gets stored in your liver and your muscles as glycogen, all of that goes to fighting the bear or running away. Okay? So you're going to have less glucose available for willpower. It requires prefrontal cortex access. We've talked about how that goes offline, how it shuts down when you're in chronic stress. It requires nervous system safety. And when you have conditioned your nervous system to believe that starting equals hustling equals burnout equals collapse, your system doesn't feel safe with you. It doesn't trust you to stop when you say you're going to stop. Give me a 1 if you've ever done this. I'm going to stop after I send this email. And then you send that email and you keep going. I'm going to stop after I do this one task. I'm going to go to bed. And then you keep going. I'm going to stop after I do this one thing. And then I'll go eat. And you keep going. So in doing that, you've trained your system to not trust you. Because now your physiological needs, the very things that you need to stay alive, water, sleep, food, rest, enjoyment, you always say you're going to stop and then you never do. Stress depletes all 3 of these. So, more effort leads to more depletion until we retrain your system. And more pressure leads to less follow through on your part. Effort without capacity feels like self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is actually a biological survival mechanism. So let's experience the difference. I want you to put your pens down for a moment. You can close your eyes for this if you need to. And what I want you to do is I want you to clench your jaw. I want you to start breathing really fast. I want you to think about something that you have been avoiding. Okay, so clench your jaw, like clench your shoulders, get into that physical state that you get into when you're stressed. And think about that thing that you've been avoiding doing. And as you're taking these short, sharp breaths, you feel your jaw clenched, I want you to try and muster up the motivation to go and do this thing now. Then you can let it all go and come back. How easy was it? Put in the chat for me on a scale of 1 to 10. How easy was it for you to find motivation there? Probably not very easy, right? And yet you beat yourself up, a lot of you probably daily, because in that very state, you can't get motivated. You can't access your willpower. So what I want you to do now, close your eyes. And I want you to feel your breath slowing down. Nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And you might like to wiggle your jaw and feel it fully relax. Just really feeling the body settle. Feel your weight being fully supported by the chair or the couch or wherever you're sitting. And I want you to notice what's different now, not emotionally, just physically. Notice those differences. And now I want you to think about something that you get to do to achieve your goal. And find the motivation for that. And then let me know what the difference between these two states in the chat. What was the difference there? Ready to start, a better visual. Yeah, so it's even easier. I have so many people say to me, I can't visualize. And then people are like, oh, they probably have aphantasia. And I'm like, or they're in a state of stress and their body's not going to let them sit down and visualize. More willingness. So nothing about your goals changed. Only your physical state changed. So imagine if you had a toolbox of tools that let you change state quickly. So let's look at what happens when you increase your capacity and begin taking action from a regulated nervous system. You're able to break energy spirals quickly. You have the energy and motivation back to begin projects you've been putting off for months. You sell your programs or services for more than you ever have before. You might find that you hit 6 figures in a year, or by August, hit $250,000. Might have a $10,000 week. You'll find that the extra weight you've been carrying that you want to get rid of naturally falls off. Or you might even have a $100,000 sale. One sale, $100,000. So the real question is, can your nervous system hold the success that you desire? So give me a 2 in the chat if you feel a little bit like this right now. Like I've just unleashed the fire hose on you of aha moments and why success has felt stressful. So this is what we've covered so far, and this is what I have yet to show you. Okay, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've started connecting some dots, and now it's time to see the big picture of what can happen when we make change. So if I could give you a step-by-step process to expand your capacity so that you can build your momentum and hit your goals faster, what would that be worth to you? Like I want you to put a specific number in the chat. What would you be willing to pay to get that step-by-step process that would allow your life to look completely different come summer? So personally, I've invested over $100,000 and over 10,000 hours of time to discover the winning formula. It allowed me to personally go from a bank account that looked like this, which in itself is stress-inducing, to making more money than ever before, our income growing year after year, 6 months worth of expenses in savings, money in investment funds for retirement, and we take Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays completely off. No work, just family time. And it didn't just work for me. It allowed Nancy to go on and make 6 figures in a quarter. Roshana went from having to drive Uber at Christmas to make sure she had enough money for Christmas presents to, you can see the screenshot on the right-hand side, was posted June 18th. And within 6 months, she had a $25,000 month by June 18th. The month ended up at about $35,000 that month. Josh was able to go out and collect $75,000 worth of collections and new income. And I want to highlight this. Like, some of this $75,000 was money that he was owed that he did not have the motivation to go out and pick up. He'd already done the work, right? He'd already paid the crews and for the materials and everything for these jobs. He didn't have the motivation to go out and get it. And this, I know that sounds crazy, but I hear this a lot. So that's why we put together our Momentum Mastery program. it gives you our regulated momentum method. This is our step-by-step system that will make your life unrecognizable within 6 months. If you follow the step-by-step system, your life, it won't even take 6 months for you to start seeing shifts. You'll start seeing shifts within the first couple weeks, but your life will be truly unrecognizable within 6 months. It doesn't have to take long. And also, it gets to be easy, right? I know that you're sitting there thinking, well, I've tried so many things. It can't be easy. And you know what? It's not easy, but it is simple. And if you follow the simple steps, it will amaze you how quickly you can transform things. Each month, you'll unlock next level tools and quick habit forming identity shifting strategies. What you experience with us in the Momentum Mastery Method is going to allow you to build consistency steadily. You'll become somebody who is consistent, somebody who can finish, somebody who does follow through. You're going to find yourself avoiding projects that you've been putting on the back burner. You're not going to do that anymore. Less self-sabotage, effortless action taking, so you don't have to hype yourself up or spend all day battling yourself just to get started. You're going to have more clarity, more excitement, and more alignment. And most importantly, more success in all areas of life. So the regulated momentum method is $1,997. Then you get our momentum accountability engine. This is weekly check-ins and accountability to support you in staying on track. And it's group Voxer access so that you can get support, ask questions when you're stuck, and to celebrate your wins. That's $997. You're also going to get our regulated performance labs. These are live monthly calls where I'm going to guide you through a deep regulation technique to accelerate your growth. And if you can't make it live, the replays will be available. Oops, that's valued at $697. Every day in the Voxer community, you're going to get daily regulation and leadership coaching drops. So think of these as like short 2 to 3 minute podcasts. They're going to help keep you engaged, change your perception, and open your mind to new possibilities. Everything we share in these drops are neuroscience backed. And it's only going to take you 2 to 3 minutes. So you can listen while you're brushing your teeth. You can listen while you're going to the restroom if you really want. But I've designed them to be short mini podcasts that pack a lot of punch. And those are $497. You're also going to get our Momentum Intelligence Tracker. This is going to allow you to realize and recognize your patterns in real time. We can't fix what we're not aware of. So this allows you to see the patterns as they're playing out so that we can replace them with repeatable systems and habits that allow you to have success. And you'll see your patterns before you get too far off track. So that's $297. You're going to get our Consistency Accelerator Intensive. These are live monthly coaching calls with me where you're going to get hot seat coaching for personalized support on your specific blocks and patterns. That's valued at $1,500. So everything that is included in the program looks like this. I needed to readjust this for this page. But it comes to a total of $6,985. Right now, we are in the middle of launching this program. So there are a couple founding member bonuses that you're going to get right now. You're going to get the Regulation Toolkit, which is new monthly tools to deepen your regulation practice and tools to help you navigate any situation. That's $297. You're also going to get our ECOS, which is our Entrepreneur Consistency Operating System. It's the ecosystem that we use within our business that allows us to take Wednesdays off to go to Dollywood or the trampoline park or the splash park or whatever. So this is our execution framework, and it translates capacity, regulation, and clarity into daily execution. And it helps you decide what to work on, when to work on it, and how to work on it without triggering your shutdown switch in your nervous system. So that's valued at $397. You're also going to get our 7-day momentum reset. So this is going to allow you to gain clarity and consistency each week, recognize the patterns that have been keeping you stuck. So that's $197. And then you'll get our root cause mastery workshop. So this is going to help you self-identify the root cause that's been triggering your shutdown switch. And we're going to show you how to transform it from the root cause so that your growth and your success is sustainable. So that's $297. So everything you get as a founding member, I can already tell you this page is not going to look right because I forgot to adjust it for this computer, but the total will come to $7,173. So back in ancient times, there was a monastery that had this massive clay Buddha outside of it. And the monastery was moving to a new location. And so they had all of this equipment coming to help them move this big clay Buddha. And on the day of the move, it started to rain. And as it started to rain, a crack started to form in the head of this Buddha. And so the man that ran the monastery, he went out to the Buddha, he climbed up on this big ladder, and he was about to start slapping some fresh plaster and clay on the Buddha to fix the crack. And he noticed that there was a little bit of gold underneath. So he started pulling back some of the clay, and much to his surprise, the clay Buddha was actually a giant golden Buddha. And he soon learned that hundreds of years before, there was an attack from an enemy country. And they were afraid that the golden Buddha was going to be stolen, so they covered it in clay to protect it. And that's what your nervous system has done to you throughout life. You have a purpose that God put you here for, this nervous system that was a beautiful, shining gem that was ready to share your light with the world. And then you encountered other people who had their own stuff, right? And that triggered your fear of rejection or your fear of abandonment or being humiliated. And so throughout your life, between you as a survival strategy and the other people that you've come across, they have been putting all of this clay, all of this crap all over you. And it's hidden your light. And so staying dysregulated, knowing what you have learned here today, and staying in a dysregulated survival state is now a choice. Up until today, you didn't know better, right? Because you didn't have the information. But now you do. And so my question to you is, will you choose to peel back all that clay and that crap that's been caked on you so that you can truly share the gem that you are with this world? Or will you stay exactly the same? So the total value of the program with the founding member bonuses is $7,173. That's not what we're going to ask you to invest today. After this program is fully launched, this program will be $2,997. We're not going to ask you to pay that today either. Right now, as a founding member, you can get this for $47 for the first 30 days, and then it's $97 a month after that, and you can cancel anytime. There are no contracts. Anytime you want to leave, you can, no questions asked. So Sid has put the link in the chat there for you. Now, to make this already no-brainer offer even better, we're going to give you our 30-day regulated momentum guarantee. So if you are doing the work, and the key is you have to do the work, okay? So if you are applying the techniques that we show you in the modules and you see no change within 30 days, you can get your $47 back and keep all of the bonuses. So it's $47 for the first 30 days, then $97 a month until you cancel. So go ahead, click that link from Sid in the chat. This is everything that you are getting as a founding member. So that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all soon.